Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday morning. We've got a massive show to bring you guys today, but before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new here. So on the show today, we're going to be reacting and discussing as a community the headline that came out last night that apparently Jim Ratcliffe is looking into Graham Potter as a possible replacement for Eric Ten Hag. We will be talking about that. We'll be talking about the other people who are being currently touted for the job, and also reacting to the headline that apparently Eric Ten Hag is on thin ice, and if Manchester United were to suffer a bad defeat to Liverpool this coming Sunday, that it looks like his job could be on the line. So we'll be talking about all of that. There's lots of course to get into on there, and I will as always ask you to have your say in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on, whether Eric Ten Hag should stay. If he was to go, who should be the next manager? Obviously get involved in all of that. We'll also be talking a bit about Mason Greenwood, and apparently there is a battle for clubs trying to sign him at the moment, with 2 or 3 top clubs trying to secure Mason Greenwood's signature. So of course we will be talking about that. Lots of other bits as well to get into, but let's start off with the headline about Eric Ten Hag, because I think obviously that's the big topic at the moment. Everybody wants to talk about that. Everybody's got an opinion. And as I said, please do get your opinions in the comment section about Eric Ten Hag and this whole kind of situation that we're in at the moment. So I'll read out the story. This is coming out from 3 or 4 different journalists here in the UK this morning. And the headline is that Graham Potter is a contender to replace Eric Ten Hag as Manchester United manager should the Dutchman get sacked. It says Potter's work is admired by Jim Ratcliffe, who is set to complete his 25% stake in Manchester United imminently. It says Potter is also close with Dan Ashworth, who was obviously the sporting director at Brighton, now at Newcastle. It says who was being targeted for the sporting director role at Manchester United from their days working together at Brighton. So that was the first story that came out. And then a little bit before that, it says Graham Potter is now being lined up to replace Eric Ten Hag as Manchester United manager. Jim Ratcliffe has already met with Potter and favours him as the next United manager if Ten Hag is fired. So those are the kind of main 2 stories there. There was a couple of other ones from some smaller journalists. Those 2 were from more higher profile journalists saying that, Jim Ratcliffe has already met with Graham Potter. They already have a good relationship, and that apparently he is the favourite of Jim Ratcliffe and of Ineos. Now, I'll say this. I think, to be completely honest, that story does make sense. Listen to what I'm saying carefully here, all right? I think it makes sense and it's believable. Do I think it's the right thing? Definitely not, but we'll get into that in a minute. But we know that Jim Ratcliffe's already coming out saying that he wants to focus more on domestic British players. For him to go and get a British manager seems kind of obvious. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't gone for Gareth Southgate, like, do you know what I mean? It just doesn't inspire me at all. It really, really doesn't. I'll be honest with you, right? As soon as I saw this story this morning, okay, Graham Potter is now the favourite as well. So if you go onto any bookies website, Sky, Betfred, I don't know, whatever website, Ladbrokes, any of the high street bookies, Graham Potter is the favourite. He's the odds-on favourite, the most likely person to be the next Manchester United manager. Second place is Zinedine Zidane, then Julian Lopetegui, then Hansi Flick, then Robert De Zerbi, Antonio Conte, etc., etc., etc. So he is now the odds-on favourite to be the next Manchester United manager, Graham Potter. And I'll say this, right? This is my opinion. When I read this morning about Graham Potter, I thought if Manchester United want to achieve their current trajectory of becoming a mid-table team, Graham Potter is the right man for the job. If that's what we're looking to do, then that's obviously what they want to do. But if you're aspiring to win Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups, Graham Potter is clearly not the right person to do it, is he? Yes, he did well at Brighton, but so did De Zerbi, Like, Brighton do so well because of the foundations they have, the director of football, the scouting department, the CEO. Like, Brighton are such a well-oiled club. I'm not saying that any manager can go in there and succeed, but imagine if Eric Ten Hag was at Brighton. I'm sure he'd be doing really well, because they have such a good team behind them. They invest well. They get players, before they become massive. They spend £3-4 million on Moises Caicedo. They got Evan Ferguson for like £5 million. Like, they brought in all of these players and turned them into, prospects that could be world class. If you look at his record, right, he was at Swansea for a year, left Swansea, went to Brighton, was at Brighton for 3 years, obviously did really, really well. I mean, I say he did really, really well. His points per match average was 1.28. Like, is that really that good? I'm not sure, personally. I don't think that's that good, really, is it? So obviously you can get 3 points in a game. He averaged 1.28 points per game. Like, let me have a look at what Erik ten Hag's is. Points per game. So Erik ten Hag's current point per game... Let's have a look. I mean, 1.28 points per game is not great, is it? Erik ten Hag's this season is 1.69, and it's been our worst season ever. So in Manchester United's worst Premier League season ever so far, or worst Premier League start, he's averaged 1.69 points per game. Whereas Graham Potter, across his whole time at Brighton, got 1.28, and at Chelsea got 1.42. That kind of just says it all for me. Like, he's not a better manager. There is no way. Like, he's never even won a trophy in his life. Nothing. Whereas, Erik ten Hag, people will say, the Dutch league is the Dutch league, but he still has won trophies. He took them to a Champions League semi-final. For me, he is not an upgrade. For me, it's a step back. For me, it just, cements us as a mid-table team. I wouldn't go anywhere near him. And I just hope and pray that there isn't actually any truth in this story. Daniel says, in our current state, we're still ahead of Brighton, so let's not talk about Brighton anymore. Yeah, but the thing is, you've got to remember, mate, is we've spent £400 million, right? Imagine if Brighton had spent £400 million. They'd probably be winning the league. Like, how much money did Brighton spend in the summer? Yes, we're ahead of Brighton in the table, but... like, we've spent a lot of money to be, maybe 3 or 4 points ahead of them, whereas they've spent, literally next to nothing. If anything, they probably make money each year. They're probably making profit. We're 1 point ahead of Brighton, and we've spent 400 million. Like, yeah. But just to be clear, I don't want De Zerbi either. So I'm not sat here saying that De Zerbi's the right man. Why are we looking at Graham Potter? I don't want any of those people. I want Erik ten Hag. I want to give him at least till the end of the season. And if we are sacking Erik ten Hag, I don't want it to be people like Graham Potter and Gareth Southgate as the people who are being touted for the job, because that just literally makes me feel sick, to be honest with you. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Ernest says, I will stop supporting this team if this nonsense continues. Potter is totally rubbish. Fred says, the recycling of managers doesn't work. Why not a fresh one like Xavi Alonso? I just don't know whether Xavi Alonso would come to Manchester United. Obviously, that's just an opinion. I don't know him personally. Keeping on the story of Erik ten Hag, though. Now, this is a concern, I think. The headline coming out of Germany this morning this is coming out from a guy called Jan Aj Fijort. I can't say, I've probably said his name terribly, but he's a very, very well-respected Norwegian journalist who reports on the Bundesliga for Bild, Sport Bild. He's got 350,000 followers on Twitter. Very, very reliable tier 1 journalist. And he is reporting this morning that apparently Erik ten Hag could become the new manager of Borussia Dortmund. So apparently Dortmund are looking for a new manager. Obviously, it looks like Erik ten Hag's on the way out of Manchester United. Whether you want that or not, I think it probably will happen. I think it probably will happen that Erik ten Hag will be sacked at some point, to be completely honest, because it just seems inevitable, doesn't it? We said this about a month ago, that this next kind of 10 games is going to be the make or break for Erik ten Hag, right? We get battered by Bournemouth, which is completely unacceptable. We then expect a reaction to try and at least stay in Europa. We achieved 1 shot on target against a Bayern Munich team who didn't even seem like they were interested. And now we go and play Liverpool away from home. And I mean, even after that, you think, oh, okay, take a deep breath. We're through it. After that, we play West Ham away, who are a better side than us at the moment, definitely. And then we play Aston Villa, who are the most informed team in the country, if not in Europe. So it's not going to get any better for Erik ten Hag, I think. And the headline this morning is that if Manchester United were to suffer a big defeat against Liverpool, I'm not expecting it to be 7. I mean, if it was 7-0 again, I probably would say that Erik ten Hag would have to go. Not because I don't think he's a good enough manager, but because the players would have again down tools. So at that point, you either say, right, we're getting rid of half of this squad in January, and they come out with some sort of announcement saying that this is unacceptable, the players, blah, 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 and they try and sell them. But they're never going to do that because those players are assets on their books. They can't just throw them all under the bus, because that would be like, you having £400 million worth of players and then you coming out saying that all of these players are not good enough. And then in the January window, you saying, oh, who wants to buy these players that we've just announced aren't good enough? Like, they won't do that. They'll always get rid of a manager before they get rid of players, because the players can be leveraged against the debt. There's so many things from a business perspective that these players, on their books, Casemiro is a £70 million asset. On their books, Harry Maguire is an £80 million asset. Do you see what I mean? So whether you think Harry Maguire or Casemiro or any of these people are good enough, on Manchester United's books, that's what holds the value. So it's stupid and it's frustrating. Benny says, I wouldn't be surprised if Erik ten Hag jumped ship to Dortmund. Peter says, Gareth Southgate, I would definitely stop supporting the club if he comes. I would agree, mate. If Gareth Southgate came to Manchester United, that would be it for me. That would literally be it. I would obviously always support Manchester United, but I would very much struggle to watch it every single game if I knew Gareth Southgate was going to be the manager. Paul says he's finished and he knows it. You can see it when he stands on the touchline. He looks deflated. The thing is with you, Paul, right? On this channel, I've been a massive, massive supporter of Erik ten Hag. I really, really like him. I think he is a good manager. The fact that he was the number one option to replace Pep Guardiola, that clearly shows, right, that this guy has been well researched by intelligent football people. There is no doubt that he's a good manager, but I don't think he can get the best out of these players. I think the only system you can play with these types of players is park the bus. That's it. I think all we can do is park the bus. Bruno gets the ball, hits the ball over their defence, Rashford runs onto it and we score. To try and play this tick-attacker, one-touch passing football, we're simply not good enough. And it could take years and years and years and years to try and coach these players, these set of players who aren't used to this style of football, probably aren't good enough to play this style of football, to attempt to implement this style. And it could still not even work. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you look at people like Man City, Brighton, they recruit people who can already play their style of football. We don't have a style of football. So he's got an impossible job. He really, really does. He has an impossible job. He's trying to get a tune out of a load of players who are bang average. Let's be honest, they are. But I will say this, as a counter-attacking team, I think we are world class, genuinely, as a counter-attacking team. Parking the bus, everybody behind the ball, and then hitting the ball long to, a Garnacho, an Anthony, a Rashford, we're dangerous. We're very, very dangerous. I'm going to set up a poll, actually, because somebody's asked me in the chat to do a poll. Everybody's just joined. Please smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe. Who would you prefer as United manager? It'd be interesting to see what people say on this poll, to be honest, because I know 100% what I think. But, so get involved in the poll. The question is... Okay, the poll's set up. Who would you prefer as the United manager? Would you like Erik ten Hag or Potter? I just think it doesn't inspire me whatsoever. With Jim Ratcliffe coming in, that this is his big plan to bring in Graham Potter. If you were like a Brighton or like a West Ham or I don't even know, like a mid-table team, I think Potter would be a reasonable signing. Or even a bottom half table team. I think that would be a good signing for teams like that. But for Manchester United, to bring in somebody who's never even won a trophy in their life, they're 48. It's not like they're a 20-year-old coach who's just joined, the sports world. He's won nothing in his whole career, 0. And his best job was at Brighton, where he lasted 3 years, which is obviously good, it just doesn't inspire me whatsoever. I'm sure Graham Potter is, got a great footballing mind. I'm sure he knows what he's doing to some extent, but I just don't think that, to be honest with you, right, Graham Potter to me would just be a facilitator for these brats of a bunch of players that we've got, for the player power. He would be somebody who would come in, he would be a yes man to the Glazers and to Jim Ratcliffe. He would play Rashford every week. Do you know what I mean? He would just please the players, please the board and please the owners. And that's all that they would want. And I think that's maybe, what Erik ten Hag's tried to do. But he also has tried to implement the style of play, and it just doesn't work with these players, I don't think. Welcome, Daniel, who's just joined the Members Club. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. If you do want to join the Members Club, I'll drop a link in the chat now. I'll drop a link in the chat now. You get a little badge next to your name. Obviously, really supports the channel. So if you are in a position to join, please do join. Let's see what people are saying in the poll. So 85% of people are saying they would rather have Ten Hag than Graham Potter. Richie, but then we also have people with differing opinions, which on this channel I'll never shy away from. I'll always read out other people's opinions and I'll respect other people's opinions, even if I disagree with them. Richie says that he thinks that Graham Potter would get more out of these players than Erik ten Hag. I mean, you might be right, mate. You might be. It's impossible to say. Obviously, none of us can tell the future. I mean, it would be pretty difficult for him to not get more out of these players, being completely honest. So I think you probably do have a bit of a point there. we're not getting anything out of these people at the moment. Yeah, so I do agree with you to somewhat, Richie, because, I mean, we've just lost, 3-0 to Man City, 3-0 to Newcastle, 3-0 to Bournemouth. We've got 4 points in the Champions League, our worst ever total. We let in 15 goals, like we let 2 big lead. You know, the list goes on and on and on and on of the kind of records we've broken this season. Our worst start of the season. So maybe he would get more out of them than Erik ten Hag, but I still don't think he's a better manager for me personally. He's not as experienced. He hasn't won anything in his career. As Sam says, Graham Potter with a question mark. Truly, we lack ambition. Finnish club. Yeah. Malp says Potter isn't the guy. Caesar says Bielsa would kick ass at United. Yeah, Bielsa would be cool, but I don't think that would happen personally. Mila says there is no manager who can make Manchester United title challenges on his own. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. It's the whole system. And just to play devil's advocate here, I can see why this story is being linked, because for anybody who's unaware, apparently Jim Ratcliffe is trying to take Dan Ashworth from Newcastle. So Dan Ashworth was the sporting director at at Brighton. When Graham Potter was the manager at Brighton, Dan Ashworth was the sporting director, okay? So he was the one who discovered the talent like Moises Caicedo, etc., etc., etc. And they worked very, very closely together. It was a real partnership between Graham Potter and Dan Ashworth. And the headline is that Jim Ratcliffe is trying to get Dan Ashworth. He's at Newcastle at the moment. He's the sporting director at Newcastle. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I was Dan Ashworth at Newcastle, I wouldn't come to Manchester United personally. I know we're a bigger club. I know, we probably would pay him more. We've got a bigger fan base, all the rest of it. But I definitely think the Newcastle project is way more exciting than Jim Ratcliffe and, buying 25% of a business. Like, I just don't think it's exciting. But the thing that we do have to be clear on, apparently Dan Ashworth and Jim Ratcliffe have a really good relationship. So you can see how this whole story is forming, that they go and get Dan Ashworth, and then alongside Dan Ashworth would be Graham Potter. Like, you can see this whole thing forming. Maybe it would work. Maybe it would. Who knows? But for me, it's a no, definitely. Right, let's talk a little bit about Mason Greenwood then quickly. We've only got about 5 minutes left of the show. But yeah, let's talk about Mason Greenwood. Keep getting your comments in about whether you would like to see Graham Potter at Manchester United. That's what the headline is this morning. Let me know what your thoughts are. Obviously, I hope that we go and get a result against Liverpool, because I don't want Erik ten Hag sacked. But from what I said earlier on in the show and from what I've read this morning, if we were to get absolutely battered by Liverpool again on Sunday, it looks like Erik ten Hag's job will be on thin ice. And I would imagine that if we get battered on Sunday, he would be gone by January, I think, because we'll probably lose against West Ham away and we'll probably lose against Aston Villa. So, and I said that a month ago. So this isn't me being reactionary to being knocked out of the Champions League. I said a month ago that the next month of December is make or break for Erik ten Hag. He had Liverpool, Bayern Munich, West Ham, Aston Villa. Bournemouth was a must-win game. I said that in the match preview for Bournemouth. I think if he'd have won the Bournemouth game, it would have bought him some time. But if we were to lose against Liverpool, West Ham and Aston Villa, we could be like in the bottom half of the table then. We're already 6 points off the top. If we lose to Liverpool on the weekend, which I would say is a 95% chance we will, in my opinion, we'll be 9 points off the top. If we were then to lose against West Ham and Aston Villa, we could be as much as 15 points off top four by the time it comes down to January. And the tick boxes that the Glazers usually have, right, are, is top four out of reach? If the answer is yes, that's a massive tick against the manager. Are you still in cup competitions? No, we're out of the League Cup. We're still in the FA Cup, okay, so that's one kind of bit of saving grace for him. Are you still in Europe? No, you've been knocked out of Europe. No European football at all. I mean, there's no leg to stand on there, is there? So he has to win and get results in these next 3 games. And that's not me coming from a fan's perspective. That's me coming from looking at it from a Glazers perspective. He has to get some sort of result against Liverpool, and he has to get a result against West Ham and Aston Villa, and it's going to be very, very difficult. Right. Malp says, I've decided not to watch the game on Sunday. Fair enough, mate. I don't blame you, to be honest. I don't blame you. I really, really don't. It's going to be bad. I think I genuinely would be happy with anything less than 4-0 against Liverpool. I would be happy. They're top of the table. They're the informed team. They're playing some really, really good football. I think anything less than 4-0, I'm not going to say I'd be happy, but I think anything more than 4-0, I'd be really, really angry. But yeah, I'm expecting, 2-3-0 at least. If we were to get a draw, that would be our biggest result of Erik ten Hag's tenure at Manchester United. I genuinely think that. If we were to not lose that game. Somebody's asking about the GIFs. I'm trying to work out how to do it. It doesn't give me the option. I'll see if I can do it. Let me see if I can do it on my phone, actually. Give me a second. Everybody smash a like on the video quickly. I've just got to do something. Fred's reminded me. Thank you for reminding me. Let's have a look. All right, give me 1 sec, everybody. We're going to talk about Mason Greenwood in a minute. And the headline is this morning that apparently Barcelona, Real Madrid are all interested in signing Mason Greenwood. Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't seem to super chat. No. I'm not. It doesn't seem to be giving me the option to do it, Fred. I'll have a look again today and I'll work it out. Richie says Chris Wheeler did a video yesterday. Manchester United were counting on Champions League quarterfinals that would generate 30 million, which would have been January transfer budget. Now they have nothing. Yeah, I saw that, mate. So obviously you get more money for qualifying for the next round of the Champions League, and apparently us going out at this stage, as Richie said, is 30 million pounds worth of revenue that we've lost. I mean, that is a lot of money. Obviously, as Richie's just said, that would have been our January transfer budget gone out of the window now. So, yeah. Right, let's talk about Mason Greenwood really, really quickly. Quickly, I'll answer this, actually. Ashley says, what will make you Ten Hag out? I'm giving Ten Hag till the end of the season. That's my view. He's got one game of football a week now. I'll say this, and my view's not going to change. If we get battered by Liverpool, it's going to stay the same. If we get battered by Liverpool, that's on the players. That's on the board. That's on the recruitment. That's on the inability to get rid of people. That will be on them, not on Erik ten Hag if we get battered on Sunday. But for me, I'm giving him to the end of the season. My criteria is I want to see a style of play. I want to see the football improve. I want to see him getting more of a tune out of some players. And then at the end of the season, I will kind of evaluate it. That's my take on it. Because I just think sacking him now, when we're linked to people like Graham Potter, is that genuinely what you people want? You want Erik ten Hag gone and you want Graham Potter in? Because that's what will happen. We'll get somebody like that. Those of you who think we're going to get Zinedine Zidane, he's never going to come. Those of you, I mean, the other people are like that Lopetegui guy who was at Wolves. Like, I don't want him either. I don't want Conte. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, these are the options we have out there. I mean, there's people like Hansi Flick, which could be interesting. Doesn't really excite me either. De Zerbi, again, it's a massive risk. It could work. It might not work. I don't think De Zerbi's a better manager than Ten Hag. I just think he has a better team behind him, which is enabling him to be a successful manager. If we literally had somebody of the level of Pep Guardiola available, you know, which is literally like Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola. Those are like the two best managers at the moment, aren't they? If there was somebody like that available, obviously you'd have your head turned a bit. But the fact that Graham Potter, genuinely, I'm on the website right now, I'm looking at the betting odds on every single website in the UK. I've got 20 different odds, you know, a comparison, 20 different websites, Bet365, Sky Bet, Paddy Power, William Hill. Every single one of them, Graham Potter is now the favourite to be the next Manchester United manager. Just let that sink in for you. All of the people that want Erik ten Hag out, you are going to get Graham Potter or someone like that. Like, I do not want that. So I would much rather give him to the end of the season. Hopefully the football improves. Hopefully he starts getting a tune out of some players. Maybe we scrape top four. Arsenal for Life says, what about Mr. Good Evening? So I assume you mean, what's he called? My brain's gone. I mean, I would take him, to be honest. What's his name? My brain's completely gone. Aston Villa manager. Unai Emery. Yeah, I mean, Unai Emery's a quality manager. You can't deny that. Obviously, he struggled at Arsenal, but that was like literally just after just after Arsene Wenger had left, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, you look at Unai Emery, he's a serial winner. In the Premier League this season, he's got 2.19 points per game on average. I mean, that is impressive, isn't it? Really, really impressive. Would I take Unai Emery now? I mean, even at Arsenal, his point tally wasn't that bad. It was 1.85. At PSG, it was 2.42. Yeah, I mean, he's a good manager, no doubt about it. But again, I think that all of these managers are in the same bracket for me. I think Unai Emery, Erik ten Hag, De Zerbi, like all of these people are kind of around the same ability level for me. And I don't think that bringing in one of them will instantly make us title challengers. I think everything behind the scenes needs to change as well. That's why I just don't really see the point in sacking him, because Graham Potter is definitely not the answer. Yeah. Right, let's talk about Mason Greenwood really, really quickly then. So the headline this morning is that apparently Barcelona and Atletico Madrid are apparently battling to sign Mason Greenwood. Obviously, he's already out at Getafe on a loan deal, and Manchester United are apparently looking to sell him. So whether you think that's right or wrong, that seems to be the decision that's been made by the owners, by the Glazers. Yeah, so... yeah, let me know what you guys all think about that one. Right, let's have a look. I'll read out a couple more comments really, really quickly. Yeah, Daniel says the issue is the management, not the manager. I 100% agree with you, mate. 100% agree. Peter says Potter is too weak. Yeah, Potter's not good. Sean says Potter as a manager is a joke. His CV is nothing. Might as well appoint someone from the academy. God help us if Potter comes in. Mate, if Potter comes in, then that's completely done for me. Like, yeah. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys, because I'm going to go and let this simmer in my head a little bit. And hopefully by this evening, the Graham Potter stories have disappeared and it doesn't get worse. Have a lovely day, everybody. I will not be on this evening. I'm traveling to Cornwall, so I'm going on a bit of a holiday. I should be back on tomorrow morning. I'll do a post on the community tab. If for whatever reason there isn't going to be a video, I'll do a post, but there will definitely not be a video this evening. So if you're looking for me this evening, I won't be here. I will be back tomorrow morning. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video and subscribe before you go. Have a lovely day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow morning. Not today, tomorrow morning. Have a nice day, everybody.